Mermaid is a great Pilates mat exercise to work on thoracic lateral flexion as well as possibly some rotation. And then we can also work on some mobility with internal and external rotation of the hips. For Mermaid, we're going to start in a Z-sit position. So one leg bends in front, the other bends behind, where we've got this kind of Z-sit going on in the body. We want to try to get the hips as level as possible, but this is going to look different for everyone. It is okay if that back hip is lifted a little bit, but think about dropping it down into the floor. From here, your arms come out wide. We are lifting through the crown of the head. And from here, we're going to lift up to lean out and over until you bring that outside hand down towards the floor. You bend the elbow to side, bend down to the side, leaving the chest open to the front of the room. And then you push and lift through center to side bend back in the other direction, looking up underneath the arm. We can from there add a little bit of a rotation. So once you get into this side bend, bringing that bottom arm under and through for a thread the needle and opening the chest to the sky before coming back up through center. So one of our main common problems for Mermaid in particular is this Z-sit position can be really challenging for some people for a number of reasons. So if they are feeling pain in their knees, one thing to suggest is to open up the space in the knee. So making sure they don't have their feet too tucked in where their knees are super flexed, giving themselves a little bit more space. I would say the main problem we see with Z-sit is that people's hips can be particularly tight, either in the external or internal rotation, when this hip really wants to be very lifted off the floor. I myself have this problem on this side. So for some people, it can be really, really extreme where they're very leaned over and can't even possibly drop that hip down to the floor. And that's an indication that we want to give them a prop to sit up on so they can get their hips a little bit more level. So remember, prop the drop. We always want to prop the hip that's closest to the floor, that's dropped towards the floor. So you would put a yoga block or a ball underneath the left sit bone so that they can sit up where their hips can be a little bit more level. The second problem that we see, particularly with this lateral flexion, is that people like to rotate out of this side plane. So as we're coming here, we're wanting to make sure the chest is staying forward, but what you'll see is people kind of collapse to the front or open to the back. We want to get that lift up through the spine and keep the chest and collarbones open wide as they come forward and then stack back up. Chest proud is a good cue there, or collarbones wide, shining your chest forward. And then also just making sure shoulder organization is there. So we don't want the shoulders to be hiked up to the ears, but dropped out. So the shoulders are in a neutral position, resting on the rib cage and the trunk.